Welcome to another episode of Double D's. Let's talk about it. The podcast that touches on all your football news, NFL, college. We talk about it all. We are your hosts. I am Damian Deshawn with D of D's Corner. What's going on, my man? How you doing, bro?
Nothing much, man. What's going on? What's going on? Ready for night two?
Yeah, night two, man. Two rounds here, round two and three. After the shocker that was last night. We just touched on it offline, but I bring it up again. It's a lot of talent still on this board, man. All those quarterbacks
I don't
that
know.
went, and some of the unexpected, maybe a few pieces here and there on the offensive line that went earlier than expected, pushed a lot of talent into the second round. That would most like. I mean, you got a lot of fringe first rounders still on the board. I'm gonna be
Right.
100 with you. The expectations tonight, we know that the Panthers actually traded up in the first round to get Xavier Leggett, one of the names I threw out uh, as a possibility to end up there as a weapon. They traded with Buffalo, so Buffalo kicks us off tonight. You mentioned some speculation that they may trade back. You want to go into it a little
Yeah.
bit more? Going to touch
I
on
just
it
think
some
they're
more.
gonna. I just think they're gonna trade back. They're gonna try to get as many picks as they can. You're still. I mean, with there still being some players on the board.
Hmm.
Um, Now the quarterback situation, because so many quarterbacks win. I'm trying to think. If I'm not mistaken, right now the only one who needs a quarterback still is the Raiders. So I
Yeah,
mean, I don't think they would trade up. I don't think they would trade up not for Spencer Rattler. Right now, you're the only team that needs him. So um, normally this is where you would see a trade, especially one of them
hmm,
teams that trade down, because I believe, like you believe, their window is closed. Um,
yeah,
actually, actually, we didn't touch on last night. What I truly believe is I believe that they conceded to their window being shut last night
oh, you
when
think they
they
ready to go through the process?
traded
Yeah,
when they traded with the Chiefs to give the Chiefs their guy.
yeah,
To me that says, because you're at that time you got to think who's still on the board.
yeah,
Leggett still on the board. They could have gone Nate Wiggins. You still got Newton, Dejon, Kool-Aid.
yeah,
So I mean, there's plays that they could have gone, but you trade with your nemesis, if you will, because you can't call it a rival because they ain't won yet.
yeah,
Especially not when it matters. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's like, hey, look, we took our best shot at you. Now we got to retool it so we can swing again. To me, that's what it said to me. When you when the Chiefs call, they've answered the phone. And here's the thing: the last time, the last time the Chiefs and the Bills made a trade,
mhm.
it was Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
It was Patrick
it's,
Mahomes. So
yep,
the
you
Chiefs, the
still
Chiefs,
regret it.
the Chiefs hit gold last time they traded. Yeah, the Chiefs
Yeah,
hit gold last time they traded with the Bills. So did they do it again? We'll see.
we'll see. Well, we did a review last night, man, but we can really just touch on a some draft grades. We didn't really go exclusive into grades last night, just for first round picks, just solely based off of the picks that we see, because we know that's going to shift and change as more acquisition takes place tonight and over the weekend. Uh, we'll start with you know what? Since we started at 32, let's work our way to one. Where do you put the Panthers right
You want to
now? With a
start from
32
32 to one?
and count to one. Yeah. Since we started talking about Leggett to the Panthers.
I liked it, to be
You like,
honest
yeah.
with you. I mean, I give it an A because he's a AJ Brown, DK Metcalf body type, like
Hmm.
athleticism and everything. He can attack the high point. He can attack the ball.
Hmm.
Strong as all get out too. Will be
Yeah.
one of the players that can take a slant and go the distance.
Yeah.
You know, will he struggle some? Because DK's had his struggles from
Hmm.
time to time, but he's still produced. I think you got to also he gets to learn from Thielen on
Yeah.
being able to be a better route runner. They have
Hmm.
Deontay Johnson, Jonathan Mingo, somebody they drafted last year. So I mean, he doesn't have to come in and be the number one guy. He can literally come in and work and eventually become that guy. Blossom into that. So
Yeah.
I actually like that pick, and to be able to come up and get that 5th-year option too,
Hmm.
put you, if we have the 5th-year option him, but we got to sign Bryce or however it may work out. So,
Yeah.
what grade you give it?
I give it right now. It's a solid B, B to B plus. I mean, considering what they did, they were able to get themselves back in the first round to go get a guy obviously that they wanted. Um, I guess they felt that he would not have been there. It's a situation like what we saw earlier in the draft with when what was the
The
situation
Vikings.
with Vikings? Yeah, where
Hmm.
they just jumped the spot, but it was like behind the scenes, they're fielding so many calls. You can't allow somebody to
Buttholes get
jump
tight.
you. Yeah. So
Buttholes
moves
get
get
tight. That's
made.
what
Yeah. So
happens.
they went to go get a guy that they wanted, which they probably felt they could have got at 33, but they wanted to make sure that no one moved up past them to get him. So I like that pick. I do. I've been throwing his name as one of the possible picks for them, and I didn't see them moving up, but I did see a future with him possibly on their roster, and it came to
Right.
fruition. Um, well, we'll transition because we don't have to go long, but this one here shocked folks. It shocked me
Big time.
not by the player, but by the
And
need
the
and the
team,
feeling
yeah.
and the team and the feel that you could have got that player late. I don't think he would have been. I don't think he would have been not taken by someone else. I think San Francisco could have stayed pat. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me with the need that they have on the offensive line. They're aging in that area.
Yeah.
You got other players still on the board that you could have shored up your offensive line, continued to strengthen that part so that you get younger. I wouldn't have taken him there. I saw something on Twitter, and it's just a rumor mill, but what does this do with Ayuk? What does this do for Debo? What does this do for Jennings? You see what I'm saying? You ain't got but one football. Christian's gonna catch at least 50 of them
Hmm.
at the minimum. So what are we
And he
doing?
gonna run it. He gonna run that whole about 25, 30 times. He gonna touch the
Yeah,
ball about 30
exactly.
times a game.
And if they keep
So
Debo gonna touch it a few times as far as running the ball and pass catching. I mean, they do rotate their wide receivers. They do use what they have. I just don't see the necessary fit here at this pick for him. So I would actually grade them out right now as C. I wouldn't give him no D or nothing
yeah,
because that's taken away from him. He's a good route runner. He had a solid 40 time, good speed, good his catch radius is solid. He can make acrobatic
hell of
catches
a
and
vert.
yeah, he has a great vertical. So I'm not knocking the player. I'm knocking taking the player where you took him and in the position where you had other needs that were more dire. So this may be a message being sent to that wide receiver room. Not for long. Everyone's
Right.
replaceable in this organization. But what grade do you give the Niners right now?
To be honest with you, that's the exact grade I went with. I'm literally looking at my grades because I just D's corner just dropped or it's gonna drop
Mhm.
draft grades for him. But I gave him a C2. I wanted to go D, but I felt like that took away from Pearsall, like you were saying. Um, Now there are talks, and what's been reported even during the draft is that not Tampa Bay, New England.
Mhm.
It was another team. It was another team. New England for sure had been in talks with San Francisco for Debo
Okay.
for Debo Samuel. Um,
Okay.
Out of Debo or Ayuk, I would think that because they can probably come off of Debo
Mhm.
more than they can Ayuk, and Debo's been getting hurt lately.
Mhm.
He's physical. He's physical. That's not gonna last
Not
you.
gonna
Pearsall
last.
com- Pearsall comes to like looking more at the pick. I didn't understand the pick either, like you said, because it wasn't a need. Like you
Mhm.
got need. Kool Aid still out there. You could have went Kool Aid.
Yeah,
You could have
secondary.
went.
Yeah.
You could have went Johnny Newton to beef up your defensive line. They love beefing up their defensive line.
Mhm.
Um, Sun Matea from BYU can play left or right tackle, and
Mhm.
having a massive guy like that, learning from Trent Williams,
Yeah.
I just feel like they. I feel like they had better needs. But then again, this could be a hit, and then 2, 3 years from now, we're not even talking about it. So but I gave him a C. I definitely think Debo would be the player that gets traded. I would be shocked if it's Ayuk, but if it could end up being both of them, we'll see how this goes. Uh, McCaffrey's little brother's in this draft, so
Yeah.
Jerry Rice's son is in
Son
this
is in
draft,
this
man.
draft. Yep. You're
So
right.
maybe
You're right,
maybe they
man.
do some legacy things. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll
All
see.
right. We
But
transition over to 30. You got something you had to add on real quick, man?
no, I was just gonna bounce and I would go, you go, I would go, you go. I was going, you go.
Okay. Go ahead.
But
Go
go
ahead. Go
ahead,
ahead.
you good. Because we're moving up
Um
now to the Ravens
Baltimore.
pick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ravens pick. Yeah, so they took Nate Wiggins. You and I both talked similar to Worthy. He was listed 173. Tall, fast as I'll get out, but just not enough bricks in his pocket. But now they were talking about last night that he's up to 182. So, but I think this guy, when you watch the film, because he's so aggressive, he can come in and be the number 2 corner opposite Marlon Humphrey. But being
Yes.
able to learn from Marlon Humphrey, they still got Kyle Hamilton, so they have the versatility still. Baltimore is going to play good defense. That's what we know about Baltimore. They're going to play good defense. So
Yeah.
this is almost the McAllister, who was it, Brett Garrett. I can't remember the other corner when they got Prime and Prime went to safety and all
When
that.
Samari Rowe was still there too. Was it Samari
Samari
Rowe?
Rowe,
Yeah,
Samari
Samari
Rowe.
Rowe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, man, I give it a B plus, A minus. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's right. I didn't
it's
give it a
about
grade. I gave it an A.
yeah.
I
You
gave it
gave
an
it A? Okay.
My bad.
Well, I see we have our guest in here. Hold on, let me bring him up live
All
from the
right, all right.
city. What's going on, Steve?
Gentlemen, always
Gentlemen,
a
what's
pleasure,
up,
man.
man?
Long time no speak.
What's up, brother?
How you doing, D? You all right?
I'm doing
Yes, sir.
good,
Yes,
man. We're
sir.
doing good, man.
Let's get
We
to it. I know y'all got some strong opinions, man. I want to hear what y'all
Yeah.
got to say.
All right. Right now, what we're doing is we're doing a little short recap, right? And we're at Baltimore. We started from 32 and counted back and counted to
Oh,
1. So we're breaking down Nate Wiggins a little bit right now and just touching on some things with that pick. We're giving a grade. If you can give a first round grade right now for Baltimore with that pick, just based off the first round, what do you think?
A
What would you
plus,
give? A plus?
A plus. I think Nate couldn't have fallen into a better situation. We all know what Baltimore's about. The Ravens defense. For him to be able to plug and play, playing on the other side of Marlon Humphrey, and then of course you still got Kyle Hamilton on the back end. I mean, I think it's a great fit for him. I thought he was going to go early 20s, maybe late teens, and there was a bit of a run of corners, and when Quinion went first and then Tyrion, but I think he's in a great spot.
Yeah, that's good. All right,
What do y'all
I'm gonna
think?
ask you.
What's the grade for y'all?
I gave it a B plus, A minus.
Okay.
And my only question for Wiggins was what me and D had talked about was he had a couple bricks in his pocket. He needed to gain weight. We both know about watching him playing against our team. Coverage skills is on point. He has the speed. He has enough height. I just worried about his bodybuilding being able to hold up. But
Hold up.
But D just said they reporting that he's up to about 182. You said D, so he's getting up there. He should be able to hold up a little better.
Yeah.
Outside of that, there's no questions for him. I didn't really have a lot of questions about his game. It's sort of like we discussed Xavier Worthy, the same thing. If he's 190, he's probably a higher pick. I see that look in your face though. But what you got? What was your grade again, D?
I gave it an A as well. Pretty much for the same things that you said. And then when you look at this secondary, the versatility that they now have, because he's not just fast, he's tall too. He's long, he's quick. When you look at Kyle Hamilton, they have, with him being able to learn under Marlon Humphrey, his speed allows him to be aggressive and attack the ball. Like I said, to me, it just felt like a Raven pick, especially perfect value. Everyone who got a corner, in my opinion, got him at like the value was crazy. The value was crazy. You got to think Jalen Ramsey was a top 3 pick, top 4 pick.
Yeah.
Like I'm not comparing these guys to Jalen. You know what I'm saying? But we know the value of the wide receiver in the offensive game. You have to stop him. You have to
Yeah.
stop. I was shocked how the DBs fell, but Nate, like you said, fell to the perfect situation, in my opinion, as well.
Hmm.
Next up, you know who we got? Big Damien.
Dallas. We got Dallas. We
That's
transitioning,
your
Steve. We talking
Cowboys.
about Dallas. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I had a lot of negative things to say, but I was actually surprised. I looked at this as a Steven situation. I think Steven made the decision to trade back, and it allowed Dallas, who didn't have a fourth round pick, to get two third rounders now. And they got a lot of holes on the offensive line. They got holes on the defensive line, uh, linebacker. So now you can address those needs a little bit more. Taking Tyler Guyton, it was obvious. They needed a tackle. They needed somebody to replace Tyron Smith. He fits the mold. He addresses a need, and he was a guy that they most mock drafts had them projected to take. So they were able to move back, still get the guy that they were projected to take, and accumulate an extra draft pick. So I don't mind it. I'm afraid Jerry's gonna mess it up after this, because Jerry
Yeah.
gonna want to get cute now. See, he
Well,
gonna feel he got his guy. But what you say, Steve?
I think, and this is coming from an outsider. Obviously, you being a Cowboys fan,
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
being a Cowboys fan, the emotions are a bit different than they are for me. But
Yeah.
um, I actually don't hate what Jerry's done this offseason. I think he's realized sometimes you realize you went to the store and you spent too much. Next time you go to that store, you're a little bit more cognizant of how you're spending.
Mm-hmm.
The way that their cap situation was looking, the guys that they were paying, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of guys they gave money to weren't able to pan out or are no longer with the team. The cap situation is what it is. He didn't fall into the pressures of what the fan base was saying. He stuck his guns. He traded back. He still got the guy that they probably need. Now,
Mm-hmm.
can he play left tackle? Maybe. At
Yeah.
an elite level? You hope so. I mean, he's replacing a legend, probably a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So I want to see if this kid can play on the left side and really be able to be elite at it, because if he's a first round pick, he's supposed to be elite. Right tackles are not what we spent first round picks on. So I know they're going to try to move him over to the left. This kid's already going to have immense pressure from having that star on his helmet, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm rooting for him. And I think Jerry, for once, or maybe twice, or maybe the third time, he's been kind of doing his own thing and not listening necessarily what the fan base has to say on
Mm-hmm.
draft day. It's like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah. What about you,
Yeah,
D?
I liked it too. And to be honest with you, Terrence Steele has played on the left side. So if they take this kid and they put him on the right side, what if he develops like Tristan Wirfs? First year you have him on the right side. The next year, then you switch him to the left side. Because Tyler Smith does really good at guard. So that's gonna help him. Do we
Mm-hmm.
look like we lost Steve?
Yeah, we lost him. I may have to
Okay,
send
so
another link, but keep going. We good. We'll
he,
get him
he
back.
jumped back in. But
Yeah.
but to me, being able to trade back, like you said, accumulate some picks and
Mm-hmm.
get Tyler Guyton, who worst case scenario, he's a solid right tackle. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Best
Yeah.
case scenario, he pans out at left. But it gives them flexibility along the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And you accumulated picks, get a player that you probably would have taken it up there at 25 anyways.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think the
I was like, okay, this is a Cowboy. This is good for the Cowboys.
I
Yeah.
think the pick magnifies. I'm really curious on what they're going to do the rest of the draft now, and I really wasn't
Mm-hmm.
before. Um, what's the personality of that offense going to be, right? I was going
Yep.
through the roster. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb is who he is, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously in a heavy receiver draft, are they going to find a legit number two? We know what Gallup is. We know the receivers they've had. We know who Brandon Cooks is. Like, what are they going to do on that end, or are they going to shift more of a mentality of when Dak first got there? We're going to go on
Run
the
the
run and play
ball.
solid defense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if that's the case, we know that wins games and Dak can produce in that level. You need to go find a back, and there's some good ones that are left as well. All of them are left. So uh,
Well,
yeah,
here's
Oh my
what's been
God. You
reported.
hit it right on the head,
Here's
Steve. Right.
here's what's been reported. Here's what we touched on before you jumped on with us. It's been reported that a Zeke signing is imminent, and that Jerry loves Brooks, Jonathan Brooks, out of Texas, and he wants to take him with the second pick. So it looks like they're going to try to build. But to be honest with you, I don't know. I know you've been dealing with the draft and stuff, whatnot, Steve. But if you've had an opportunity to hear how Dak and Jerry have both discussed his contract, it's almost like they're both like, "Hey, if he's not here next year, or if I'm not here next year, it is what it is." Jerry, to me, what it looks like in this draft, he's preparing for that. If Dak's not the guy, whoever they do bring in is going to have a solid offensive line, a solid running game. He had the blueprint for what he did with Dak. And it's been said that Mike McCarthy is really good with what he does with quarterbacks. Maybe that quarterback's Trey Lance, after this season. Maybe we can develop him and see. We'll see. So,
yeah,
could end up being Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Right.
Before we move on to the next team, man, how was the atmosphere being there, man?
It was insane, man. It's interesting because I went as a spectator in 2015. The first draft, I was away from New York. I went to one in Chicago. I wanted to support Jameis. I knew he was going to be the number one pick, but Jameis ended up staying his ass in Alabama. So, I mean, okay. He still owes me money for that one. But no, it was a completely different experience. It was cool seeing a lot of the people that I've been able to connect with during the Super Bowl and the Combine, but the energy was crazy, man. These people, like, you can tell, like, and I don't want to say anything crazy because it's Detroit. I don't want to get my head kicked in, but like, yeah, you could see like the aerial shot of all these people. Like all these cats is wearing brand new Detroit Lions jersey. Like, stop it, man.
Yeah.
Come on, let's be real. Now go ahead and show me a Herman Moore jersey. Show me a Charlie Batch jersey. Obviously, the Barry Sanders, say less. But like, I see what's going on here. This is a prisoner of the moment. The NFL literally picked this location 2 years ago and they hit it right on the head. And I was telling my partner Sheena about it. I was like, man, a lot of people have issues with what Goodell does and what he says and the way he runs the league, but this moving it to every city every year, a different city every year is genius, particularly with cities that we know for a fact are not going to get Super Bowls. Cleveland is not going to get a Super Bowl. Detroit, sorry, y'all had one in 06. Y'all not going to get another one. Nashville, and it's a great economic boom for the city. We all know where Detroit is as a city, and everything's on the up and up. The energy was there. They were happy to have the draft. The team is doing well. It took forever for me to get home. It took me an hour to get an Uber to get to the hotel. But that's just a prisoner of having 275,000 people running around. But I think the cool thing about not only being in the amphitheater, but also being in the press conference room, I put some pictures up on Twitter about it today. The cool thing about that is like the reactions of some of the other journalists and writers, and like that Penix one threw a wrench.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Even the Xavier Worthy pick, it was like, here we go. Here comes Kansas City. It's like, yep, that's what they do. That's why they're there every year. So
yeah. Matter of fact, that's the next one we get ready to
go into Kansas City.
Perfect segue.
Perfect segue. I'm gonna start it off. I'll give it a solid for what they needed or what they're doing. I'm gonna give it a solid B plus A minus again, just because we know it's an answer to the situation. You don't know what's going on with Rashee Rice. They brought in Brown. You still got your tight end. You got the best quarterback in the game. This guy is basically like the old Rams with Kurt Warner. I mean, you can slot him in like Isaiah Akeem. He's right in the slot, just killing somebody down the seam with that speed. He doesn't have to be a guy over the middle because you got Kelsey that can work that. It's a perfect fit in that system for what they want him to be. I look at it one more thing I add to it is I guess that means Kadarius Toney is pretty much done in Kansas City also. That's it. That experiment is done because you don't take Xavier Worthy and keep Kadarius Toney. They're done with that. But I gave it a B plus A minus. What about you, D?
I gave it a B. I gave it a B as well. But I dropped a video today. I feel like Kadarius Toney time is especially if he acts a fool like he's been doing on social media and stuff. But we both talked about it. We both had issues with his weight and stuff. But when I started to like consider it and actually like think about the pick and what this means, this team is almost like the Eagles were when they had Jason Avant, Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson, because Xavier Worthy be able to be used like Deshaun Jackson. The difference that they don't have a shifty back in Shady They got a sledgehammer in Pacheco.
Yeah.
So this pick means so much for Pacheco than it does Patrick Mahomes because you're not going to have crowded boxes because you got a kid that can fly.
Mhm.
And we know what Deshaun Jackson was able to do. And then, like, if you think about it, when we've talked about is he more John Ross?
Mhm.
He's produced in college football in big time college football.
Mhm.
He's gone against some defenses and he's produced every year except the year he broke his hand. That's different than
Mhm.
John Ross because out in the pack, well, it's no more. But out in the pack, we know they don't really play defense like that.
Mhm.
Playing against him being in Texas, he's gone up against some solid defense. So I don't have a worry about like will he be able to produce because he's with Andy Reid.
Mhm.
There's not going to be a lot of players that get their hands on it because Reid is going to move him around. I just don't
Mhm.
like we talked about last night. After he's more Deshaun Jackson in this offense than Tyreek Hill, even though he's that fast.
Mhm. What say you, Steve?
I agree. I'll give it a B as well. If he's half the player Deshaun Jackson was, and it's a steal for them, of course. I think when I watched Kansas City's offense last year, you can look at the numbers. They weren't as potent or as explosive as they were in the last few years.
Mhm.
Um, we know what this pick means. Kadarius Tony's probably out. This is also probably going to affect Sky Moore's snaps as well. But for me, with them not being as explosive as they typically have been, it was harder for them to move down the field. Once they were in the red zone, they were fine, but it was harder for them to move down the field, particularly in the intermediate areas of the field. And
Mhm.
this is what's really going to help. Honestly, the best tight end in the game, Kelsey. When you have this guy running down the seam, you have to respect it. Obviously, with Hollywood Brown as well,
Mhm.
you have to respect it. So underneath and in the intermediate, in the middle zones, Kelsey's going to put up the same numbers he did 2, 3, 4 years ago, all over again. So I think it extends their runway a bit.
Mhm.
They're drafting to needs. They're getting best available. They're doing what the Patriots were doing when they had their dynasty. So Andy Reid's
Mhm.
got it clicking over there right now.
Yeah.
It definitely, my last comment on it, it definitely opened up that window to a 3-peat.
Yeah. It did. It did.
It definitely opened up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which has
I
never
mean,
been done.
yeah. They young on
Right,
defense.
right.
They. I mean, the offensive line holds up, and you got the best quarterback in the game wearing the chain. So it is
I'm gonna
what
throw
it
something
is.
at you. I'm gonna throw something at you, Steve, when we get to the Raiders pick. Just
Okay.
remind me.
All right.
Just remind me.
Uh, well, we'll segue on to the Cardinals. I don't know about this pick. I mean, I can look at it and say I understood why they did it. They needed an edge, and at that point, he had to been the best edge left on the board. I mean, Chop's gone, Jarrett's gone, Latula Tua's gone, Dallas Turner's gone. So you take Darius Robinson. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know too much about him. I know his combine was not. It wasn't shine. He wasn't a superstar there, but he wasn't the worst guy either. Um, but I'll give the pick, just to be honest, I give it about a C right now as far as that pick. Now, what they've done overall, that's a B plus to me. I mean, Harrison, you get the best player probably in the draft period, but just this pick, that's a C in my opinion, a C pick. Darius Robinson, what you think, Steve?
I'll be honest. I was probably around a C plus. Um, it's probably about a C. Yeah, turn that down, girl. Probably about a C plus. Probably
You
about a C
good, man?
plus. You just hit me on camera, by the way. Um, going to gym. Yeah. So that was probably a C plus, and I'll send you guys a clip
Mhm,
after this.
mhm,
I fell in love with the kid from his interview, bro. Like this man, he answers the basic questions, right?
mhm,
Somebody asked him about his technique. The word was a lot about how he's kind of a technician and a real like savant with his technique. The
mhm,
kid stops the interview. He's like, "Hey, do you guys have time?" And then he looks at the prompter. He's like, "How much time do I have?" The guy's like, "Oh, you only have a couple minutes." He's like, "Bump it. We're gonna stretch it out." This man went through every piece of technique and his preparation throughout the week from Sunday to Saturday, like in perfect detail. How he watches film. How some days are pass rush
mhm,
days. Some days he studies the run game. How he lines up. He tries to line up 2 yards outside of whatever, whether it's the guard or the tackle. How
mhm,
he's aiming for 4 yards from his back foot. Like this guy's like Bruce Lee, man. I was like, damn, I didn't know this
mhm,
kid was this knowledgeable. But
Cerebral.
if this
Uh-huh.
is if this is what he did when he got in the rooms from the interviews, because obviously his combine wasn't world class or mind blowing, but if
Yeah.
this is what he did and the film backed it up, then we might be looking at a good value pick right there, man. I didn't
Yeah.
know a lot about him either. I went back
Yeah.
to the hotel last night and watched the film. He's
Uh-huh.
looks like he's a good player. And he's
Uh-huh.
going into a no pressure situation. The Cardinals
Yeah.
don't have any legit pass rushers or anybody on the defensive line that's doing anything. So he might be able to exceed expectations off the rip.
Okay. What about you, D?
I gave it a B because I knew a little bit about him. He's played,
Okay.
and what I know about Gannon, the coach, what
Mm-hmm.
he did when he was with the DC with the Eagles is he had a versatile, aggressive defense, a technician based defensive front.
Okay.
This kid will line up out wide on early downs and he can kick in and rush over the guards. He's going to destroy guards and tackles because he's so long. He's more like Cam Jordan,
Okay.
body type. Body type.
Okay.
Well, he's not built like Daniil Hunter or Jadeveon Clowney out there on the edge. He's more like he looks more like he would be a defensive tackle, but he's a bit leaner and longer like Cam Jordan. So he can shut
Okay.
that edge down on those outside runs or read options. He should be good with that and kick inside on passing downs. I really liked it as a building block for his defensive front.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on. It's Tampa Bay. I know how much time you got, Steve, because I don't want to eat up all your
I
time.
got time, man. I got
All
time.
right. All right. Tampa Bay. I actually give this pick, man. I give it a solid A minus, solid A. I like the pick just because it's flexibility. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Duke had him at tackle, but he can play. They listed him as a center, but he can play all three. So basically, it looks like they took their swing lineman. They drafted a swing lineman that he can start, but he doesn't have to be the primary guy now. He can come in and fill a role for them, help developing the run game. Because I did see some film. I know he can run block pretty good. He's a decent pass protector. Um, like I said, I don't question. I would say this. The only question I have is where do they play him? Do they want to play him interior? Because he could slide out the tackle if they needed to.
They reported him as a center when
Okay.
they drafted him. They called him a center.
I like his versatility. That's all I'm gonna stick with there, man. I think he's a real versatile offensive lineman. He'll give them some flexibility to be able to work
Yeah.
things. I thought they would go edge. I'll be honest with you. I thought they would have went edge, but that's a solid value pick that I'll give about a B plus, A minus. So you smiling, Steve. So you got a difference of opinion?
Nah, I actually like the pick. I mean, their center retired. He
Yeah,
was banged up. He
Yep.
had a crap ton of injuries.
yeah,
This kid's physical. I really like what he did in the run game. I love the clips that they had on NFL Network about him. But not to troll a bit, but when I when I looked at Twitter this morning and seen the footage of him actually getting the news of getting drafted, no girlfriend, no mom to hug, nothing, just him sitting on a lazy boy recliner. I said, yeah, this guy's got bad intentions. I need
yeah.
this guy on the
Yeah.
line. So
I
I like him.
got you. Okay.
I
What
liked it
about
too. I liked it too. I gave it a B. Just I would give it an A as just the only reason I made it a B is because he hasn't played center before.
yeah?
Only reason. Like that's the only reason. But he'll have a veteran guard next to him, Shaq Mason, so he should be able to pick it. He should be able to pick it up. But definitely they're gonna want to try to be physical and nasty in that NFC South.
D hit us off on Jordan Morgan, Green Bay's pick at 25, Arizona tackle.
I gave it a C.
Mm,
I gave it a C. Oh, yeah, it is a position of need. You lose Bakhtiari, but
mhm,
I just felt like there wasn't much value there.
mhm,
Players that they passed on. Kool-Aid would have been good opposite of Jair Alexander, I
mhm.
told you Cooper DeJean just screams Packer to me.
Yeah.
So
They
I
would have
just
sold out of jerseys already.
Yeah,
right,
they
man.
will.
I'm just Micah Hyde was a corner in Iowa, drafted to Green Bay. They started him off as a nickel, then he developed into a really good safety with the Bills.
Mhm.
It's just what he screams to me. But I give it a C, man.
Okay. What about you, Steve?
I don't like it at all. I think it's one of the worst picks of the first round.
Yeah.
Um, I think the kid has some questions medically
Mhm.
that wasn't discussed a lot. But I think they're going off potential. If you're gonna draft a replacement of Bakhtiari, I don't think this is it.
Hmm.
I think you're just gonna get another Bakhtiari, a guy that was getting injured left and right. Nonetheless, corner should have been where they went, or DB should have been where they went,
Yeah,
considering the weapons that are in that division, considering what
Yes.
Chicago just loaded up with, what
yeah,
Minnesota has with Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, they didn't want to do it. That's on them. So I don't like the pick at all.
yeah. I didn't like it either. I give it a C. Like you said, you got Kool-Aid on the board, TJ on the board, Max Melton on the board. I'm like, if you were gonna go offensive tackle, I mean, Kingsley was on the board. I would have took Kingsley before I took that pick there. Um, yeah, I mean, when there's no need to stay and beat a dead horse,
Yeah.
man. With it is what it is. I don't like the pick. So we'll move on to the division rival Lions. Steve, you can start off. They took Tyrion, man.
This was a
That's a
no-brainer.
great pick. Yeah, it's a
This is a
great pick.
no-brainer. Obviously, with their DC being a DB in the league for a long time, that's the one weakness they have in their defense. No-brainer. Great kid. I would have been fine with whatever DB they selected. Those top three guys really separated themselves from everybody else. It's more of style at that point. Like
Hmm.
Quinn Young was already off the board at that point, so it was really a Nate and Terrian game. Terrian is a great player, and Detroit's very excited to have him. Obviously, you saw him play to the crowd and things
Hmm.
along those lines, but he's excited to be there. I think it's going to be a great pick.
Yeah. What about you, D?
Man, I love it. This A plus.
A plus.
A plus value, the player, position in need. And
Hmm.
like I told you last night, and I've said it all over D's corner today, Tyrion Arnold is an Aaron Glenn type of player.
Hmm.
Feisty, fight you, not afraid to tackle. They traded for Carlton Davis. You're pairing him up with Brian Branch again. They've been dipping into that Alabama pool, just like Philly's been in that Georgia pool. So I
Hmm.
really, really, really like this pick. I really like this pick.
Yeah.
And they traded up with the Cowboys to get him.
Hey, me, I give it a solid A. Like you said, I'm not gonna stay on it too long. It's a position of need. He fits an aggressive style that they play. The attitude. He plays with an attitude. He'll get up on it, tally zone. That's I'm gonna leave it at that and let it go. Move on.
They won that.
That's
They
great.
won that division. They ain't trying to let go
Yeah.
of it.
No, they're not. They got the division in chokehold right now. And it doesn't look to change until they have to
Yeah.
ask the quarterback questions. That's it. Um, we moved to Jacksonville. This was one of the surprises for me, not because it kind of goes on to what I compared before. It's not because of who the player is when I was talking about Ricky Pearsall. It's because of the need. I thought they would have went defensive back here. You made moves in the offseason with free agency to acquire wide receivers. Why draft a wide receiver at this point, even by trading back, right? So I understand that you traded back and you ended up acquiring more picks, but why use that pick on a wide receiver when you addressed that in the offseason already? You need a defensive back. You could have took Quinion Mitchell from where you was before you traded back. So I don't get it. Um, I give the pick. The player in my opinion is a B player, but the pick is a C minus in my opinion. I don't like the pick for where they're at right now. It doesn't fit the need. D, what you got, man?
I like the player.
Hmm.
I like the player. I like him with a quarterback. But like you said, um, thinking about it, you what was the point of bringing in Gabe Davis? You got
Yep,
Zay Jones. You
yep,
got Christian Kirk.
yep,
You got holes on your offensive line. You got holes in your secondary.
yep.
The Texans have just beefed up. So are you trying to go score for score with them? Because they got a defense. They got a defense that can play ball too. So
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Trading back, I guess, is all right. Being able to pick up some more capital,
Hmm.
but I mean, to me, it wasn't a position of need or value. To be honest with you, I know you lost Calvin Ridley, but it's not like you were Christian Kirk and that's it.
Yeah. What you got, Steve?
I hate the pick. I
Yeah.
hate it. I'll read a transcript for you. This is Big Game James. Hope you let me say this because this is what we were saying in real time during the draft.
Okay.
He asked me to announce the pick early. I found out the pick about 30 seconds before it dropped.
Mm-hmm.
He says trash. Yeah, but I called it. Balky sucks. I said unreal. Nate Wiggins was there. He said, I don't know,
Yep.
man. This is wild. Here's what I have to say about it. We're looking at a franchise. Can y'all name me the last first round receiver that they've drafted that's had success? I'll wait.
No,
Justin
Exactly.
Blackman? Nah.
no, no.
Matt
They,
Jones?
Mac
nah,
Nah.
Jones, no.
nah, no.
So
I
like,
No,
can't.
Wilson
I
went to
mean,
what's it called?
their best receivers that they've ever had have always come through free agency pickups. Always have.
100%. But
Yeah,
if we dive a little bit deeper and get a little bit more granular, I like him as a prospect. I think he's
yeah,
an elite number two. But when you draft a receiver in the first round, like you want him to be that guy, and then on that team, what is he going to be? Third or fourth in targets?
yeah.
I know they're probably projecting down in the future, but I don't see him being the guy over Christian Kirk. You've already paid
No.
him. You've got him locked in.
Mhm.
Evan Ingram's going to get his targets.
Yep.
Gabe Davis, you've paid him some money. You got him on the team as well. So most of his production was um, those 17 touchdowns, which is a school record, I think. Um, Most of them were against bad teams. Against the elite teams, I don't know, man. I'm trying to be as positive as possible, but we can't think that all these kids are and they're all going to produce. Just like
Yeah.
6 quarterbacks
Right.
in the first round, have a conversation in a couple of years. Like 4 of them were really not really
Bad.
good.
Hmm.
4 or
I don't know.
5 of them.
Yeah, because we've seen it. Um, we'll transition to the Eagles.
You want me to take
I
it?
guess. Yeah, you take this one, bro, because I don't even want to talk about it.
To quote Damian, the rich got richer last night. There were talks of the Eagles trading up to get a corner and to get what many believe was the best one is an A+ to me.
Mhm.
To me, as a prospect, he reminds me of the corner that he'll get to literally learn under, and that's Darius Slay. He reminds me of a young Darius Slay.
Mm.
Quick to the ball, aggressive, fast, good and off, strong. Darius Slay's developed into a lot to big play Slay, and to me, that's what Quinyon Mitchell reminds me of as a prospect, being able to
Mhm.
learn under it. Philly killing it. Philly is killing it. Philly, Detroit, and San Francisco. Actually, Philly and Detroit might be fighting with San Francisco now, depending on what happens with their wide receivers for the top rosters in the NFC.
Man, I'm hurting. I'm hurting right now because I just leave it at this. I give that pick. That's an A+ pick. I mean, you can't give that anything but an A+. Um, I'm of course being division rivals. I'm a little disturbed because I'm still trying to figure out with a league with a salary cap where the hell these motherfuckers keep getting all this money from. I'm like, you got all these rookie contracts. They're gonna have to pay the piper. Somebody gonna have to pay the piper sooner or later because it
They just
always
paid
comes back.
everybody too. That's what's
But
crazy.
yeah, Brown just got paid. I mean,
Right before the
Brown is now
draft,
what, the highest paid in the league now?
they signed Brown, they signed Smitty, they signed
Smith,
their left
yeah.
tackle, they signed their guards.
I mean, they backed up the
They
Brinks
paid
truck.
Jalen last year. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Played
man.
Jalen
Steve, they
last
print
year.
money, man. They print money.
Saquon,
They gotta be. They gotta be printing money, man. Because
Saquon, Bryce Huff.
something ain't right here. It smells fishy because in a league that's supposed to be designed for parity, where do they keep coming up with these assets? Eventually, it doesn't continue this way. I've been watching it I'm 45, man. I'm not the oldest cat in the litter, but I'm not the young cat anymore. And as long as I've been watching, the league is set up for parity. But it looks like the Eagles just keep stacking. It's they building like a college superpower. They're building like a college team. They keep getting 5-star recruits.
They got 5 stars on the bench.
Now development is different, but they keep getting them. So, but I'm gonna give it an A, and I'm gonna move on. Steve, what you throwing there, man? You go
Hey,
ahead, man.
hey, I just like his physicality as a corner. Um,
Yeah,
I like that he gambles. I think a lot of
yeah,
guys are, even with elite measurables, are afraid to get beat. He's not one of those
Mhm.
guys.
yeah.
Um, He's all about the team. Based on the questions I asked him last night, I asked him what his favorite play was as a college player.
Hmm.
He's like, man, I don't even remember. I just remember winning the MAC championship 2 years ago. And later on, we asked him, what is his go to? What does he play the game for?
Hmm.
Like winning championships, not for money, not for fame. He's like, yeah, my playing for my family is cool, but like I just want to win championships. I'm like, that's the mentality you want to have. He checks off all the
He working.
boxes. Oh yeah, he's
He
gonna give you
coming to work.
problems for a couple years. Deshaun, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yes.
be hell. Lockdown.
And Slay's
Uh,
getting long in the tooth too, so
yeah,
perfect transition.
Yes. That's
perfect.
perfect.
And then
Perfect.
I don't know, they still took what's the name last year, even though he slid
Ringo.
from Georgia, Ringo. Yeah.
And they
So
got
I
and they got
mean,
Eli Ricks on the bench.
yeah, Eli Rick. So that's three young corners that they're developing now on a
Bradbury
young
gonna be cut or
defense.
traded.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bradbury out of
young.
there.
Yeah, young. And they brought Chauncey Gardner Johnson back. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just not, it's not good. It is what it is though. It's the league. So hey, gotta roll with it. Well, we're gonna move on to the Dolphins. Steve, I'm gonna let you lead on this one, man. Cause
Worst pick of the draft.
oh
That's
my
all I have to say.
gosh, man,
That's all I have to say about it, man. Mike McDaniel disappointed me on that one, bro. I'm like, really, bro? This guy?
yeah,
Him? I'm
I don't
thinking maybe they wanted Verse to fall to them, but Verse got picked a couple picks before. Like, this guy's production isn't not good enough, man. And like, we obviously have Bradley Chubb with a knee injury. You
Mm-hmm.
got Jalen Phillips with an Achilles
Phillips.
injury. We don't know
Hmm.
when they're going to bounce back and be 100%. You want a legit guy that can not only have a high snap count, but be productive. And this man has not been productive.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't even productive in high school. He's just been going off of measurables. And with all due respect, man, I'm a guy that reads too much into things sometimes. Maybe I'm too observant. Man was born like, I think he was 12, 13 pounds as a baby when he was born. When this man was celebrating, getting drafted to the Dolphins, they panned to his pops. His pops a solid 375. I said, he's going to Miami? How's this man supposed to keep his weight down, bro? Genetics is genetics at the end of the day. I don't like this pick, man. I'm done, man. Y'all got
Man,
it.
man, he gonna be eating all that Cuban and
Oh,
he gonna
12,
enjoy that paella, man.
12 pounds. That nigga daddy shot cement into his mama.
Man, that's crazy, man. But
God.
you
Oh.
gonna go ahead and take it. Your opinion on it, D? What you got, man?
Yeah, bro. To be honest with you, Steve, I felt the same way, but then I started looking at it. They picked up Shaq Barrett, so he will get an opportunity to learn from three solid pass rushers. Being able to come in and have a role will benefit him. He's disruptive, but like you said, he's not productive. That I do not like. I think that I think the Dolphins are trying to get aggressive. Like if you look last year, the only playoff team they beat was the Cowboys, and we know how they play in the playoffs. Like throughout the season, they were more finesse than anything. I think they want to get aggressive and have an attitude on defense. Him just getting back there, you still got Sean Smith. Cam Smith, Jalen Ramsey. They brought in Jordan Poyer. You got Javon
Javon Holland.
Holland back there in the secondary.
Mhm.
So you have a solid secondary, so it's going to go one and the same, you know. But I
You
didn't like the
lost. You
pick.
lost
I
Wilkins
didn't
too.
like the pick, and you lost Wilkins, right? I
Okay.
didn't like the pick. I did not like the pick, but I understood it and it's more of an insurance thing too. If Chubb or
Mhm.
Phillips come back and they're not the same guy, they can move on from them,
Yeah.
and you still got somebody who can at least step in. But like more disruptive than productive, that's more second rounder to me.
Okay. I give it a C. And I'm gonna throw out something for you. I'm gonna say 15, 7.5, and 4. In a season, 15 tackles, 7.5 for loss, 4 sacks on a damn season. That's not first round. I don't care
Two of
what
those sacks
film.
was against
Yeah,
Division One AA opponent.
yeah. So it's like he gets back there, but he doesn't make any impact.
Don't do nothing yet.
Yeah, it's what we're saying. It's like, okay, you look at the film, and there's certain things in the film that catch your eye. There's some explosiveness, great first step. But then when you turn around and you look at the production, it's like, okay, it's like you showing up to the bedroom, but you ain't smashing. What's going on?
No Diddy.
It is what it is. No Diddy. I put it in context here. I'm putting it in the right context. Yeah, no Diddy, definitely. But yeah, I'm not gonna harp on that and stay on it. But it is, yeah, we've already touched. It's a production question. You can look at the film and see some of the measurables, see what he can bring to the table, but it just seems like he doesn't finish the job and put up the numbers that you're looking for. So we can transition, man. Pittsburgh, what you got, D?
I loved it.
You loved
I loved it. He seems like a Pittsburgh still. Like he'll come in and fit right in.
it. Mm-hmm.
When they were especially when they were showing his highlights, his ability to pull and get out in front and lead. Najee Harris is going to be able to get some yardage. The quarterback run is going to be able to work. There were talks about putting Broderick Jones from left to the right. So I mean, again, versatility. And if he doesn't pan out, he can slide in the guard. So I mean, I think they said he had a foot injury, which is why he slid. But many people had him as one of the top tackles. So to be able to get him down to what in the 20s, that's position of need, value, and it's someone that I think fits the mentality of the Steelers.
Yeah, I agree, man. We discussed him plenty of times when we did mocks. Once again, versatility. He can play tackle, he can play guard. Continue to shore up some holes in Pittsburgh's line. Wherever they need him to play, whether it's at the guard or tackle position, he can do that. Fits the city's image. He'll put his nose to the ground and do his job, do his damn job. And that's what else can you ask for? What you got, Steve? I gave it an A.
Yeah, I'll probably get an A-. Culture fit is on point. Obviously, Pittsburgh's tradition is as big as it gets. This is an investment in multiple ways. You're going to help a veteran quarterback that might not be as nimble of foot as he used to be. This is going to be a pick that also helps the heir apparent, the heir to the throne, Justin Fields. And this is also a pick that's going to be able to help, the Ferrari that you have in the back that really hasn't been on the road as much as it should be, which is Najee Harris. His numbers aren't what they thought they should be. I think the kid's a really good player. He's tough as nails, but the offensive line hasn't been where it's needed to be in the last few years. Sometimes, man, you might have the fastest car, but the tires aren't any good. They just bought some new tires yesterday. So I think you're going to see the yards per carry go up for Najee. You're going to see the production go up for Najee. I've been waiting on him to really, really, really break out. I pick him in fantasy every year, and I haven't been getting my return on investment. So this year, I think I'm going to do it with this kid, with this pick that they just made. And I'm thinking they're probably, who knows, maybe they'll draft another lineman down the line as well later on in the draft.
I don't think they're done. I don't think they're done. There's still some good centers on the board too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So next up for your FSU boys, we got the Rams. They took Jared Verse. I'll let one of y'all start. Go ahead, Steve. You can kick it off.
Yeah.
Culture fit, man. When you look at McVay as a coach, the energy that he brings in every day in and day out, alongside the preparation, I think it's a perfect fit. And if you get to know Jared a bit, I think is going to strive and do very well in that environment and that culture over there in Los Angeles. He's going to be somebody that's going to be a leader in the locker room. He's going to be productive. At this point, the team they're in an interesting transition from a team that went all in and saying fuck the picks to selling all out to win the Super Bowl to then having kind of a low after that to having a resurgence last year. Nobody really expected them to be as good as they were last year. Now you're losing arguably top 3 defensive player of all time, top 5, top 10, wherever you want to put him. Versus not going to be filling that guy's role. Obviously, he's going to be playing a different role, a little bit of a hybrid defense and outside linebacker. But we've seen Knowles go to LA and have success, and I think this one's going to have success as well. I'd argue he might have. Who knows? He might have a Will Anderson type of year this year. So I really like the pick. Obviously, I'm a homer, but I think the culture fit is great. I think he's going to do well in Los Angeles.
Okay. I mean, my only question with the pick, and I questioned it last night, was concern about X's and O's fit. And of course, we've seen Jared stand up. We've seen him put his hand in the ground. If that's all they're going to ask him to do, is come after the quarterback, set the edge, then that's a good, good place. I'm a little concerned about his fit there, not culture wise, but scheme wise, because 3-4, they kind of run the 3-4 hybrid. Are you going to ask him to drop back? You know, are we running fire zones here? Because I'm not saying he couldn't do it, but we didn't see him do it a lot in his college time. He's athletic enough to be able to give you some, some effort in that area. But I mean, he's a straight get to the quarterback, set the edge in the run game kind of defensive end. Will that work with where they want to go? Even though Raheem Morris is gone from LA, they still run that Wade Phillips kind of system, 3-4 kind of rush. You got the DNs that are rushing. So if that's what they're gonna do, are we getting the Marcus Ware kind of situation here then? And I'm not comparing, but I'm saying, is that how they're gonna use them? Then I can understand. Just go out, see ball, get ball. Yeah. But that's it. I give it a solid A though.
I gave it an A as well. I think to touch on what Steve said with Aaron Donald return, and we've talked about it, and I talked about it on here and as well on D's Corner. To replace him is going to have to be by committee. You're going to have to build a solid defense. You don't replace Aaron Donald was taking on 3 and 4 blockers at a time. It didn't matter who you put out there with him. Now you're going to have actual players, and pairing verse with Byron Young from last year in Tennessee. You have your solid bookends right now. They're both physically similar, but they can they can set the edge and work their way through the run while they get to the pass. So I liked it. I gave it an A.
Okay. Well, we move on to Cincinnati. Amaris Mims. That name is all too familiar, Steve. In our lore, we're sitting here on sanctions because of Amaris Mims right now. We're dealing with some scholarship reductions, and we didn't even get the bitch, but that's but it's anybody that knows they know it was actually happening, but it didn't happen. So it didn't happen. But I like the pick. I do like the pick because what we discussed in the previous episode, D, when we talked about you got a franchise quarterback that has been injured multiple seasons now. You've been trying to plug this offensive line. You have to invest in keeping him protected. You got to keep him upright so that you can even know what you're getting, because you're wasting his best years on IR right now. I'm like, what are we doing? So I can see the pick. He can play. He can actually play both tackles. I don't know where they'll start him out, but he can play both sides of both tackle positions. You talking about 6'7", 340. So I mean, they're gonna be able to run the ball. At the minimum, you can put him on the right side and get a right tackle that's gonna be able to drive block for the next 10 years or so. I'm not saying he's gonna be a Hall of Famer, but I'm saying I think he's a solid pro, without a doubt. I think he's a solid pro that may make 1 or 2 Pro Bowls, 3 Pro Bowls, possibly, if not more. I like the pick, and I give it an A.
Go ahead, Steve.
I like the pick as well. I'll give it a B plus. Like Deshaun mentioned, they were trying to plug in on the offensive line. Was it Jonah Williams?
Yeah,
the tackle with the short arms. That wasn't. I didn't understand it. I obviously they have Orlando Brown invested in that. Orlando Brown's not going to get any fleer of foot. So there might be a situation where one day Orlando slides to the right, Mary slides to the left. But if this kid figures this out, if he figures it out, it's not a 2 to 3 Pro Bowl conversation. It's an All Pro, perennial All Pro, because he's got the measurables. He's a creative player. The question is, the game isn't played just off of measurables. So will he figure it out? Cincinnati's just an interesting situation, man. As long as that owner is there, like, them boys is cursed, man. Them boys ain't winning nothing. And that man doesn't want to pay anybody. As you can see, guys are asking to get out of there. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's deja vu. It's like every 5 years, 4 years, 3 years is the same thing. Carson Palmer wanted to get up out of there.
Andy
Trey
Dalton.
Hendrickson's trying to leave. Come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
that owner is tight with the dollar. So if this kid becomes an All Pro or whatever the situation may be, maybe Paul Brown will pay him, maybe he won't. But Hopefully the kid figures it out. It's a solid pick, and you have
Yeah.
to protect the franchise. The only guy who you didn't give any issues with paying in the history of your franchise.
Yeah.
Right. So I like to pick like you guys.
Hmm.
I think personally he'll be able to put it together because they have three of the biggest human beings in the NFL. Their left tackle and right tackle are both 6'8", 380. And this kid is 6'7", 370 something. So he's going
Yeah.
to be able to learn. In worst case scenario, if something happens and he has to go in and play guard, they will run the ball down everyone's throat. But what I like about it is the division that you're in.
Hmm.
Yes, it's about protecting Burrow. You want to protect Burrow, but there were reports and talks about, especially once the name got picked, that all the offensive linemen that have been on this most recent Georgia team with the national championships, he's had the best potential.
Hmm.
The not the least amount of experiences as far as starts, but they were talking about blowing up Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, like the players that he had to go up against. But I like it for the division because the NFC North is your nosebleed section on lock. They're coming to fight every day, and I really like that pickup for them.
Okay. All right. So we move on. You got the next one, D?
Yeah, the Vikings took Dallas Turner, traded up to get Dallas Turner.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Steve. You can kick us off.
Plug and play. Um,
Yeah.
Kid's got a motor. Obviously, they have to replace some guys on the edge. Um,
Hmm.
he's the fit. Kid was absolutely as angry as I've seen anybody after getting drafted, but I like that.
Yes.
The kid has, just another South Florida kid with a chip on his shoulder,
Hmm.
and Minnesota doesn't have any expectations. I'm sorry, even with the pick that we'll discuss later on, they're in
Yeah.
a division where maybe they're the third best team in the division, maybe the fourth best team. I don't know.
After this
Either way, he's
weekend, might
coming
be the
into a low.
fourth.
It might be the fourth. I'm just not trying to
Yeah.
say it, but
So
either way, I think it's a low pressure situation for him to come in and produce. I like the pick. I wasn't expecting him to drop. I was expecting him to get picked at least 10 picks before to a certain team in the South, but that didn't happen. So here we go.
I like the pick. Definitely, I get a pick of A. It's filling a need. You just came up off the nil. You didn't sign him, so you get younger. No contracts to worry about there. Then they brought in. Then they bring. Who was it? They brought in another defensive end.
Van Ginkel
The
from the
Yeah,
Dolphins.
Ginkle from the Dolphins. That's who it was. So I mean, you compare. He doesn't have to be the man coming in the door. He can learn and fit the system. There's no expectations in Minnesota right now. No matter what some of their prognosticators are going to want to say. There's no expectations, like Steve said. They can pretty much just build the roster, try to get better. Uh, I don't know what they're going to do with that later pick. I mean, I question it too. But yeah, I give that pick, this particular pick, I give it an A. I mean, he was touted as one of those solid
Mm-hmm.
prospects that if it wasn't for the quarterback rush that happened, he would have been drafted. I mean, that quarterback rush cost a lot of people some money. That would have been drafted higher. And he is definitely one of them that was a fringe top 10. And I know exactly what you're talking about, Steve. He should be in A Town right now. If we being 100, that's who I thought was either him or Verse was going to end up at A Town. That's what I felt.
Yep.
But it is what it is. He's in a good situation,
Mm-hmm.
has a history, a good defensive lineman. So I think he'll just continue that.
Yep.
He'll continue that tradition of good rush-ins from Minnesota. But you go ahead, D.
I'm gonna be quick with it, man. I give it an A as well. Brian Flores has weapons galore to unleash on the opposing quarterback.
Yeah.
So the Vikings roster is a lot better than a lot of people give it credit. You got a solid offensive line, you got weapons for days, and they beefed up their defense during free agency. So I like the pick. The kid's phenomenal, fast, long. Will Anderson said he thinks that Dallas Turner is even better than him. So if that's the case,
Mhm.
if that's his floor, if that's his
Mhm.
floor, that's a serious floor. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
but
We go to Seattle. It's Byron Murphy, Texas. I give the pick a B. Only reason I give it a B is because I felt Seattle was going to address the offensive line some more, the interior, before addressing the defensive line. But I think it's a solid pick. I mean, considering he's considered what he was considered the first or the second best defensive tackle to take off the board. So they got a guy
Yep.
they wanted. It was a position of need. I just think it wasn't as urgent as offensive line. I'm going to just speed through this with that because we don't have to get into the details. We can talk about it another time. But yeah, I think he fills the hole, the need for them, and it's a good pick. It's a solid pick. So I give it a B.
Yeah, I give it a B as well. They picked up Lakin Tomlinson at guard before, right, like 2 weeks ago or something like that. I thought this would be a place where one of the centers could go, to be honest with you. So
Exactly.
but to me, I think with McDonald being the head coach now,
Mhm.
my thoughts would be that he's thinking this is his Justin Madubuike from
Okay.
Baltimore. Smaller, shorter, more
Mhm.
athletic, versatile defensive line. So
Mm-hmm.
go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I think I give it a B minus. I think he's in a division where he possibly can have some success right away. I don't necessarily know what Seattle is doing to win. Right? They
Yeah.
they they they're kind of
Or
in
who they
purgatory.
are.
I don't know. I just
Mm-hmm.
can't get a feel on who they are just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, I know I know Deshaun and I had talked a while back, and we did a mock. Maybe there was a potential to maybe have Penix drafted there since they
Mm-hmm.
haven't necessarily come outwardly with their commitments on Geno long term. And this kid being
Mhm.
playing at Washington, I thought they were going to do some sort of shocking move, but obviously the shocking move was done before that. But I can't get a read on Seattle. I like the kid, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't get a read on him. If you tell me in 5 years the kid didn't pan out, I won't be surprised. If you tell me in 5 years the kid was really good, I won't be surprised. So I'm kind
Right.
of on both ends of the spectrum with this one.
Okay.
So
Well, you
next
get
up
a
we got
Pittsburgh.
the Colts, and we took Liatu Latu. I gave it an A, just because not just because that's my team. I had him, I had him going there every time we did a mock draft, but I had us trade him back and getting him later.
Mm-hmm.
But his medicals cleared out, his medicals checked out. Arguably one of, if not the best, pure pass rusher in the draft. And he was the first defensive player, so he's a player in need. Our GM said he liked our DBs. I knew as soon as I heard Ballard say he liked our DBs. Damien. Every mock draft we did, I stopped taking corner. Once he said he liked our corners, I knew he was going to try to go edge. We missed out on Daniil Hunter. Just give us insurance policy if in case we don't keep Quiddy Pay or Odangbo. So I mean, it's a position of need. Have your pick of the litter when it comes to defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably the best pass rusher on that field turf. We know what Robert Matheson, Dwight Freeney were for, so that's where we're at with it.
Yeah. You want to go ahead, Steve?
Yeah, I love the
Okay.
pick. I love the
Yeah.
pick. You got to draft not only for need, but you have to draft for what's on the horizon in your division.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Prince that was promised down in Jacksonville. You got
Mm-hmm.
C.J. Stroud. You got AR coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is starting to turn right. I was talking about it on a Twitter space last night. How it's so funny how these divisions turn from worst to first so quickly. I'm not saying that it's the hardest division in football as of yet, but I'm saying that I can see the rise. A couple years ago, the AFC South was a joke,
Yeah.
and now we're
Yep.
seeing real teams with young contending players that aren't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So if I have to stop the Prince that was promised or CJ Stroud down in H Town, this is a guy that I need to go do it. So
Yeah.
I love the pick.
Yeah. I get a pick of A. Solid. One of the best prospects in the draft entirely. Definitely with the best one or two edges in the draft.
Mhm.
Only question, let's put it this way, the only question mark here, he's the exact opposite of Chop. Production is there. The only question was injury history. You get past the injury history, you got a productive player.
Yep.
I mean, he's a plug and play player. He's going to fit what they need. He's going to get there, put his head, another one of them guys will put his head down and do his damn
And
job.
work. Yep.
And work. Yeah. We'll move on to Leslie Fuaga, the Saints. I get his pick for what they need. I'm always going to give a little bit more credence to those who address needs and address needs with quality. I kind of separated and put it together. They need a tackle. Well, Andrews Pete did not resign, right? Andrews
Nope.
Pete, they lost him. They still got questions about the lineman they took from the small school.
Northern
So
Iowa,
yeah,
Penny.
Northern Iowa. Yeah. So you address this guy here. From what I understand, or from him at Oregon State, he has good bad intentions when he plays. He's a physical blocker. He finishes his blocks. That's the main three things I'm looking for a lineman, especially in his run, is does he play with effort, his technique, and does he finish his blocks? He does all three. Of course, he's a right tackle. So you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
ask that question. We saw a slew of them. We'll get into it. A right tackles being drafted where left tackles typically go. But he is a right tackle. But I think he fits the perfect spot for them because he'll do is he'll bring some more the right kind of attitude to the offensive line room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'll leave it at. I'll leave it at that. That was a great pick for them.
Yeah, I think the same thing.
You
I
got
give
it,
it an
D?
A. I give it an A. Go ahead, Steve. That's all I got. I give it an A. I think it's a
Yeah.
great pick.
He stole my take. I think everything I was gonna say you just said. I I think physically, um, he's a bully, and
Hmm.
who doesn't need that on the
Yeah.
offensive line? So I hope he does well.
Hmm.
This was kind of an interesting part of the draft when he got drafted because there was just so many great players that were more well known than him that were available.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, great pick, solid pick. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
So
So
we
you
got the
do.
Raiders. They took
All right, what you
Brock
got for me, man?
Bowers. But I gave this a C. I don't understand the direction. I guess, and it's not again, it's not the player. It's
The
not
player
the
is
player.
legit. The player
It's
is legit.
not the player. But all right, Steve. What I was going to throw to you, Steve, is this. We did a mock draft, and I had, just so you can tell that I like the player, I had the Chiefs trading up to take Brock Bowers. That's how much I like the player. I just felt like with the Chiefs having another tight end who can groom behind Kelsey, I just felt like that would open up so much more. But the Raiders taking them. AP, this your first pick, bro. This your first pick. You don't have no quarterback. You didn't have to reach it because all the quarterbacks was gone. But golly, you had offensive line help. You literally had the you could have taken the what you could have took Fuaga. You could have took any one of these offensive linemen. You could have traded the pick. You took the tight end last year. Not if he's going to be a move tight end, his body build is similar to Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. It don't make sense to me. It don't make sense to me. I got to give it a C. Really, I should give it a D.
I'll touch on it, man. And I'm gonna just throw these out there and I'm gonna move on. 12, 13, 22. Y'all know what that is. That must be the fucking personnel they're gonna be running all day.
That's
Um,
it.
I'm gonna leave it at that. And then I'm gonna move on and move to this. The player itself, legit. We've already discussed that. And then you ask AP what he doing. AP was a part of the staff at Arizona State that had Johnny Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, and Jaden Daniels. They fucked that up. Enough said. Move on.
Well, I don't know if you got anything personal against the Raiders, Deshaun. That's something for another day. That you sound like you had some real love for the organization in your heart. But what I will say, I'm shocked by it. If I was a betting man, which I've been known to be from time to time, I would have definitely thought AP's drafting a defensive player with his first pick. This one was kind of a shocker. Um, I wonder. I would love to get more insight on the pick itself. Was it the GM that pushed this? Like, what was it? Are we just drafting best
Mm,
available? I think you can only really draft best available when you're in a position of being a consistent winner, being in the playoffs every year. When you're in the doldrums and you Raiders, who've been as boom or bust as any organization in the last 25 years, you got to go with what fits. Who's going to be able to stop the guy across the country in Kansas City who's the man right now? You got Max Crosby, that's cool, but we need DBs to be able to at least slow some guys down, and that's what I thought we were going to go. Sometimes some of these coaches rely a little bit too much on their uh, quote unquote ability to evaluate talent. Um, First pick, I guess you can sell jerseys with this kid, but you're not stopping Patrick Mahomes by having Brock Bowers on the field. He's not going to score a million touchdowns for you. He's explosive, but
mm-hmm.
teams know this is your main weapon besides Devontae. Um, I don't know, man. I'm curious to see how this one's going to work out.
how's he and Michael Mayer gonna coexist? You know, I don't get it. I mean, you basically drafted 2022's best two tight ends in the country, and
And you got the
I don't.
Bears OC from last year.
Yeah,
All he
Oh
did
yeah,
was really ran the ball with Justin Fields.
I
yeah.
So
mean,
look,
and
That
yeah,
doesn't
I
bode
don't
well.
know, man. Oh man, I mean, you okay? We go from questionable to disaster. Denver, I think Denver pretty much just panicked.
Let me lead off with this one, guys. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you got it. They
go ahead,
panicked.
go ahead, go
Denver.
You
ahead, go ahead.
got it,
I'm
bro. You
glad that
got it.
this is what's happening to these guys. I'm glad. I've really developed a real disliking towards that organization in the last few years.
Hmm.
To which, just from running into fans and people on message boards, it's a sense of entitlement, man. John Elway's not walking through that door. Shannon Sharp's not walking through that door. Terrell Davis not walking through
No.
that door. They're in the doldrums. They have arguably one of the most arrogant coaches, now especially now with Bill Belichick. Well, at least Bill Belichick had the resume.
Hmm.
The most arrogant coach in the game was Sean Payton, and a lot of people are going to figure out that veil is going to come off on who this guy really is without that bounty gate defense and without having a generational quarterback.
Hmm.
Um, he thinks his evaluation of talent is just so supreme than everything. You really pick Bo Nix, who, in my opinion, I think his ceiling is maxed out. Just my opinion. You
Hmm.
reached for him, man. You could have got him in the second round. Go
Yeah.
get a player that can help you win ball games, particularly on the defensive side of the ball to slow Patrick Mahomes down, and go get
Hmm.
this kid. If you really love him that much, go get him in the second round. You have him, and then you just got Zach Wilson a couple days ago. Like, where is this organization going?
Exactly. They have no identity, and they don't know what they want to be.
Nope.
Yeah. What he just said, I give it an F because you question why trade for Zach Wilson. You traded for Zach Wilson,
Yep.
and then you turn around and draft a quarterback right behind it.
You
I
traded for Zach
Yeah,
Wilson against yourself. Nobody wants that kid right
exactly.
now.
Nobody wanted him. So my question here is at 12, if you traded for Zach Wilson at the very minimum to want to make sense, you would have went wide receiver there. Just because, okay, you traded Jerry Judy. You're trying to add do they still have Sutton though, right? Am I
That's the
Yes.
correct?
only weapon they've got.
Yeah, but see, either
They
you
got
want to
Marvin Mims from
yeah,
Oklahoma.
that's right, Marvin Mims. They did take him late last year. But the point I'm trying to make is you either want to protect your quarterback in that situation that you just traded for, you want to give him weapons, or like Steve said, you may want to go defense. You can show up and give yourself a pass rusher or something like that. I mean, drafting where they drafted, they could have had any one of the pass rushers or linemen that went after him. So you're gonna have some questions. I mean, Brock Bowers to them made more sense in that situation just because it would have given him a weapon. So yeah, I don't like the pick, but I know I'm running on with it and rambling.
I don't like the
Like,
pick either. I'm gonna be quick. I gave it an F. I felt like you could trade it back and got him,
yeah,
but I gave it an F for Denver, but an A for the Chiefs.
yeah,
The, none of these teams in the AFC West drafted to defend against Patrick Mahomes and what the Chiefs have.
they
I
didn't.
understand what the Chargers are going to do, and we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos and the Raiders, no idea what the hell you guys got going on.
Nope.
No idea. Bo Nix. Did Bo Nix, you guys are more college than I am. Did Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham play at Auburn together?
Yeah, Bo was a freshman.
Yeah, bro was
I,
the first.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I thought so. I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
Those
I don't
are
trust
those
his
are the,
arm. I don't
but
trust his arm.
I don't trust the decision making.
Yeah.
You literally have Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Zach Wilson are your three quarterbacks. Those
They're
are
not
your three
serious.
quarterbacks.
They're not
There's no
serious.
freaking way. There's no
They're not
freaking way.
serious.
They could have traded back. To me, this just screams panic. 5 quarterbacks flew off the board. We know we need a quarterback. Let's take the next one. To
Panic.
draft the sixth
Mhm.
to draft the 6th best quarterback, not the 6th best prospect, the 6th best quarterback. Big time reach for me. Don't like that at all.
I think another thing to add on.
Uh-oh. We lost him, but he'll be back. We'll let him chime back in when he gets back in, but we can move on, man, and talk with the JETS Jets. Make it quick. I give this pick a solid B plus A minus.
I like it. I
It's
like
a
it. I give it
position
an A.
yeah, because it was a position of need. He
And
just had a
he gets to
situation with
learn.
Aaron. Yeah, he gets to
And he
learn.
gets to
So
learn
it's
by
no
Tyron
pressure.
Smith. So.
Yep.
Yep.
There's no pressure, but who's to say he won't slide in there and
Mhm.
contribute? So It's a perfect pick. There we go.
Perfect.
We got him back. We didn't even got. We're gonna ask him real quick, and we're gonna move on to this one because I think the 10th pick is gonna really. There we go. We're talking about the Jets, man. But go ahead and elaborate on what you was about to say before we lost you.
Yeah, I think it's almost like a lot of these teams are conceding defeat. They're not even trying to compete against Kansas City,
Yeah.
particularly in that division. I think there's a lot of times in different industries where a family with money comes in, and because they've been successful in another business model, they think that they can be successful in this particular business. That's what we're seeing with the Walton family. They put reliably way too much trust on Sean Payton based on his previous success in his resume. He
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been that anytime recently. There was a reason he was an analyst as recently as 2 years ago. And obviously, for a team that's eating an $84 million dead cap hit, they're just going to spend money blindly and trust in Sean and what he's doing until the fan base has enough and clamors for him to get fired, which is what I think is going to happen in about a year or two.
Okay.
I do
Uh,
too.
I'm gonna ask him about the Jets pick, Steve, because we had already discussed it. So you go ahead and elaborate on that. What you think? What you give it?
Come on, man. You just signed 2 tackles. I get it, but I wouldn't have done it. You signed 2 tackles that are long in the tooth. I get it. You signed 3 linemen, really.
Yeah.
Where are you going to put this kid at? You gonna start him off at guard? Like, what's what's the game plan for him? I want to know what they want, what they want from him. I thought he was gonna get drafted possibly a little bit earlier,
Mm-hmm.
but what are they gonna do with it? Is this Tyron Smith a 1 year deal, or a 1 year
Tyron,
situation where maybe they don't think he has enough left in the tank, or maybe Morgan Moses? I don't know, but I get that you're trying to protect Aaron Rodgers, and their defense is already formidable, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I have a tough time reading this pick. I'm gonna say it's a B, just
Mm-hmm.
just based on the fact that the kid's great. I don't think he gave up a sack the last 2 years. I just don't know. I don't know how they're gonna use him. What side of the line? If is he gonna be a guard? Like, is he a swing lineman? Like, what's the deal with that?
I think it'll be. I think he's going to start off as their swing because
Yeah.
Elijah Vera Tucker, he's been hurt. We know Tyron Smith gets hurt, and Morgan Moses hasn't been the most healthiest lineman.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he gives you versatility. I would have loved to have seen them go on weapon, trade back and try to get Aaron Rodgers another weapon because you have so much injury issues with Mike Williams as well. So, but I like the pick for the kid and moving forward for the future because being able to learn under a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. Definitely all pro. Yeah. You want to lead into the next one? We let Steve take off on this one too, because he
The
need to go on and get
Minnesota
number 10. Go and get
Minnesota
your shots.
Vikings
Go on and get your
traded
shots off.
traded up a slot to take JJ McCarthy. Go ahead,
You got it,
Steve.
Steve, man.
Privilege, man. That's the only word I want to use today, gentlemen. Privilege. Um, he's not him. As the young kids like to say.
Mhm.
Not sold on the pick. You
Mhm.
traded up, I guess, a pick to because you know, you knew you was getting the girl, so you got all antsy. You didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
You're blowing up her phone, even though she already said she's coming over. I don't understand what's
Mhm.
going on. I don't get it. This pick right
That's
here
good.
solidifies Justin Jefferson leaving. Fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson is gonna be like, so you got me another Kirk Cousins? All right, bet. Stand on that. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen. I don't believe in this kid. I'm sorry. And he's never been asked to do this, never been asked to do that. Well, I wanna see it, damn it. Like, the kid's played on loaded rosters his whole life from middle school. From
Mhm.
IMG, from middle school to IMG to Michigan. So you mean to tell me he's just always had a great roster and he's never had to show you the main thing that we need, a guy having to put a team on his back in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line? Like, we talk a lot about how Patrick Mahomes was such a value pick and there was guys drafted before Patrick Mahomes. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes was gunning for his life and throwing the ball downfield, and we saw pieces of what he could be at the college level. We haven't seen any of that from this guy. I know how he hands the ball off to the left, how he hands it off to the right, and how he likes to go and play action right. That's what I know about him. What else do I know?
He has a little scrambling ability. He
Yep.
can move the pocket.
Great.
He
An
can roll
athletic white
around.
quarterback.
Yeah, he's
I think I've
athletic.
seen that before. Have you guys, shall I reference
Baker
Kyle Bowler?
Mayfield.
Shall I
Yeah.
reference JP Lossman? Shall I
Yep.
reference Jake Locker? I
Yep.
could keep going, guys. We've seen
Christian
this
Ponder.
archetype before.
Christian Ponder. Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'm gonna be honest. That's what this quarterback draft feels like. That year Christian was taken or EJ was taken. As much as it hurts, it just seems like it's that draft where a lot of them quarterbacks, as we said, don't pan out. I'm gonna touch on JJ just on this. It's been argued even in the spaces, Steve. I've heard Rum say that he processes information and he has the cerebral thing down, so it translates based off of that. But my question, not my question, my comment is, I'm like, okay, if that's the translation, the arm talent is not there. What is it that the scouts are seeing? What is it that the guys who make a hell of a lot more money than we make collectively, mostly? What are they seeing in the kid? Is it that they're afraid to miss on what they perceive to be the next Mahomes, or they don't want to miss out on a Brady, so they reach for a situation? I don't know. D, what man? What's your answer to that question, man?
I already told you I wasn't big on McCarthy or Bo Nix either. But I tell you like this, I tell you what I think the thoughts of it are, and depending on how many people watch this or whatnot, we'll see how many people agree or disagree with me. But I don't think it was we're getting the next Mahomes. I think it was we're getting the next Brock Purdy. If you look at this team, offensive weapons, they drafted a game manager. They wanted Drake May. They wanted Drake May because Drake May had the attributes. But all they're going to try to do is get the ball out quickly. They picked up Aaron Jones. They have a solid offensive line. T.J. Hockenson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. They're going to try to get the ball out quick. That's all they're going to try to do. They're going to try to take as much off this kid as possible. And you got to think, they got Sam Darnold. If it's not an open competition and he can't beat out Sam Darnold, this is going to be the flip side of the Trey Lance situation that the San Francisco 49ers went to. This is going to be the other side of that coin. This is going to be the other side of that coin. So
yeah,
and they try to take the blueprint of the Texans last year, get a quarterback and the top edge rusher. McCarthy's not CJ, and like to see people talk and actually compare him and say, "Oh, he's in position to be offensive rookie of the year." I guess if you want to say the same way Brock Purdy was in position to be the MVP because of everything that's around him.
Yeah.
But you got to think, if Justin Jefferson gets any injuries, Jordan Addison gets hurt at all, if there's any injuries, this guy cannot put the team on his back.
Yeah. He's not going to make any game-changing plays. But we're going to move. What's the next team here? Number 9, Bears.
The Bears, Rome Odunze.
Rome Odunze. I like the pick.
Yeah, kick it off, baby.
I like the pick. My bad, but I do like the pick. Only small question is, did they need a weapon at that point? I mean, of course they took their quarterback. I guess you wanted to get him a wide receiver, but would you have taken I asked y'all this question: would you have taken a weapon at that point, or would you have went defense? Because I would have went defense here. I would address either the defense or the offensive line some more. I can understand because it's a deep wide receiver draft. You could have gotten a number 2 or so, a good number 3 later,
or trade
it back, exactly, and took a Leggett or something like that. You got Coleman still on the board. You got Adonai Mitchell still on the board. You didn't have to take it's not the player in this situation, it's the pick. I give the pick a C plus to a B minus, but as far as where they took him, no, I don't like the pick at all. I think it's solid for what they want to do, but I don't like it for them at that point and where they are as a franchise. That's what I'm trying to say. Y'all go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve. I'll finish it up.
Alu should have been the pick here. Protect the asset. I think Bears are enjoying the attention that they're getting from having all of a sudden all these weapons on offense. When's the last time the Bears offense has been this formidable? I can't tell you. So I think they overdid it, unless they know something about Keenan Allen that we don't know, or DJ Moore, or maybe they're going to get rid of one of these guys in 1 or 2 years, and you want to have him up next. It's a deep enough receiver draft where I don't want Caleb Williams running for his life like I saw in some of those highlights. Yeah. You had Darnell, who you drafted last year as a right tackle. Pro Football Focus has him rated as the 24th best right tackle in the league. So was that necessarily a hit? But I know the Olu kid. I know what he can do on film, and it also happens to be
Mm-hmm.
Caleb's high school teammate. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought that would have been a pretty cool story, but that's not the direction that they went in. So
I feel like they
to give
should
me
have
a
traded.
grade, if I had to give a
Oh,
grade,
Mm-hmm.
B minus.
B minus. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest here. I'm gonna give the pick a A. I feel like they should have traded down to accumulate more picks because they only have 4 picks for the entire draft.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it'll justify my A if they go out and sign DJ Humphries and lock down their left tackle, like you were saying, protecting Caleb. The reason why I
Mm-hmm.
gave it an A is because this is strictly because of the player and what he's able to do. Now you have a rookie quarterback who can come in and grow and become a pro with this rookie wide receiver. He is going to be able to learn from Keenan Allen, who in my opinion is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. A
Mm-hmm.
route technician can track the ball and everything. A lot of Keenan Allen's abilities Rome Odunze has. They have DJ Moore locked up long term. Keenan Allen will probably be gone after this year. Plus, he's up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
I like the pick for the player. I do not like the pick for the position, and it wasn't something of need. That wasn't a dire need that they had.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, you already know what it is. The Falcons took Michael Penix Jr. I started off. I gave this a C. To me, I know a lot of people say it's an F. I try to be because of who the player is as well. He can sling the ball and everything, but why'd you just give Kirk Cousins that much money? They not only that, what's not being said, they went so offensive heavy. It was like they were building around Kirk Cousins. Then now you have friction with Kirk Cousins. You just gave him all this money. Like, you know how we talk about all the time resetting for the rookie quarterback deal. You can't do that when you got somebody on a big term deal as well as drafting a rookie. You're going to waste 2 to 3 years of that rookie deal paying Kirk Cousins. When it's time for Penix to start, he's going to want money. You're going to have to pay Bijan, Drake, Kyle. Buffoonery. This was pure buffoonery in a division that was winnable. This was a division that was winnable. Raheem Morris is known for his defense. You've already solidified your offense. You have a rookie offensive coordinator that, in my opinion, you believe way too much in by giving him this amount of what you gave him 2 quarterbacks. For what reason? For what reason? So I don't like it. I don't like it. Not for pennies. I like the player. I like the player. I like the player, and I think it's better for the city, to be honest with you. I think this is more of a city pick.
Mm-hmm. I'm waiting. He probably you
Go
live in
ahead,
the city.
Steve.
Steve. Go ahead. You live in the city, man.
Falcons go Falcons, man.
Yeah.
I just love how we have access to, you know, being in the war room or whatever you want to call it. Seeing Terry and Arthur's uh,
Response,
exchange.
reaction.
We
Yeah.
don't necessarily know what was said, but I got a PhD in body language. I could tell that was an awkward conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and it just the reason it makes it worse is because at, as much as I root for black quarterbacks, I root for black coaches just as much, and I
Mm-hmm.
really want Raheem to do well. This is a guy who had his opportunity when he was younger,
Mm-hmm.
didn't work out in Tampa, had to build his way back up to where he is now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're stealing the luster or the shine of that first moment as a head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. We're stealing it because this is all we're talking about is the Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix situation and what that was. So it shows possible. From my point of view, I would think there's some sort of dissension, or maybe they're not united on the same front. But um, if Raheem and Terry thought this was the pick, I'm gonna go with it. I'm just shocked by it. Raheem being a defensive guy. Um, Kirk Cousins, I was never sold on him. I never liked the fact that he got that much money in the first place. So sometimes when you make your bed, you got to lay in it. So, um, we'll see, man. I know Kirk is not going to do anything to help Mike at all.
Nope.
Mike is going to have to
Figure it
figure it
out.
out.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're talking about paying some of these offensive weapons, has AJ Terrell been paid yet?
I don't
No,
think so. No.
no, you're right.
Nope.
You're right.
Yep.
No
having a
further
rookie.
Talking about
But
one, you talking about one of the best corners in the league. Yeah.
the thing is, it's the Falcons didn't trade up into this position. They've had this draft pick since January, February.
You telling me that's what they wanted?
Like you should have known that this was an opportunity. Like this could have happened.
Mhm.
For all that, if you needed a bridge quarterback, you could have went and got Brissett. You could have went and got Gardner Minshew, and then still drafted Penix.
Mhm.
You went and handed
Justin
Kirk
Fields.
Cousins, who's an average quarterback,
And then
$100
paid
million
him a whole
guaranteed.
money. Exactly.
Crazy.
I'll touch on it real quick. Like I just elaborate. Everything I agree with everything y'all said. I would have looked at this situation of with Raheem Morris being a defensive coach. Typically, they want a defensive player. You should allow the coach to have a little bit more input on this pick. I'm not assuming he didn't, but I have to assume also that he didn't have too much input on this particular pick. Then I talk about age. Arm talent is there. Injury history is a problem. By the time this guy gets on the field, man, he's gonna be looking at 27 years old. What are we doing? I mean, he's been in college. He's one of those super seniors kind of situations through COVID. He got COVID year after COVID year. And it's not a knock on him, but his injury history is something you got to look at. As far as pure passer, he's one of the best passers in the draft. But where they're picking, if they wanted to get a guy to groom under Cousins, you could have just drafted Spencer Rattler later. Somebody like that would have been there if you just look for somebody just to fill a gap after Cousins. Now, like you said, Steve, you're gonna have Raheem is coming into a situation now where now you got locker room division, possibly because somebody's gonna want Kirk and somebody's gonna be looking at the young buck. Let him play now. And yeah, I the pick I give it a D because pause. I give pause. I had to pause that. I had to pause. I had to make sure I pause that. Yeah, no Diddy.
No Diddy,
Uh,
no Diddy.
the player, I won't knock the player, but once again, what is Atlanta doing here for those specific reasons that we've all already elaborated about on? That's it. Well, this is the headline pick of the question marks, but this next pick at 7 is what started the bullshit. I'm like, you got the best. He wasn't the best tackle left on after Joe Alt went, which we'll get into. J.C. Latham, I question the pick because you took a right tackle. I'm pretty sure, and I don't know exactly. I haven't watched all his film, him playing the left side,
Strictly right
but
tackle.
he's a right tackle. I know that for a fact. I don't know what his capability on the other side, but yeah, if he's a right tackle, there's a rule: you don't draft right tackles that high. It's a no-no. You just don't, because now you're gonna have to pay a right tackle, left tackle money. Hey, you back, Steve? All right.
I'm
All
back.
right. I'm gonna let you know what I was getting into. JC Latham, this is the pick that set it all off. You don't pay a right tackle, left tackle money. You drafted a right tackle who exclusively plays right tackle at number 7 when you could have addressed that with the tackles that we've already named. You passed up better prospects when you're a team that is in flux and needs weapons. Uh Weapons on offense, protection on offense. You could have went anywhere but here. And I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna knock the player, and I'm gonna leave it at I give it a damn D. Pause. No Diddy. But I don't like the pick. I really don't like the pick for what it is. You don't take it's a golden rule. We know you don't take right tackles that high. You just don't. And I don't know if they're planning on swinging him to the left. I doubt it.
No, that's
I
the
doubt it.
I give it a C because that's what it was reported as. They're gonna swing
Okay.
him to the left
And I'm
side.
and before you guys get, I'm gonna leave it at this. We were in the space of Steve discussing this, right? When it happened. We actually had to go and look and ask somebody asked the question in space: is Will Levis left-handed? Then it would
Nope.
make sense.
Mm-mm.
And Will
He's not.
Levis is not left-handed. This pick does
He's
not
not.
make sense. It doesn't. But y'all go ahead and
Now
elaborate on it.
the offensive line coach Bill Callahan is known for taking tackles and swinging them from side to side. But
Mhm.
my thing is on it where my fear is Evan Neal. Evan Neal was a
Mhm.
left tackle. He's been a
Mhm.
bust at right tackle.
Been a lot of
And
Alabama linemen that have been bust we
a
don't talk
lot of
about, man.
Yep.
All
yes,
of them.
DJ
yes.
DJ
What's the
Brought
kid that
up
went
Fluker.
to the Raiders? What's the kid that went to the Raiders?
Jason, not what's his name? Leatherwood. Alex
Leatherwood.
Leatherwood.
Come on, man.
DJ
Leatherwood.
Fluker.
You
Come
talked
on,
about
man.
Jonah Williams. You talked
Come
about
on,
Uh-huh.
Jonah
man.
Williams earlier. So
Andre
I,
Smith.
I didn't. I'm a Colts fan, so I liked it.
Yeah.
I bet you
I'm a
did.
Colts fan, so I liked it. So
I mean, the interior has worked out, but when you talk about tackles from them, it ain't been the best. Their tackles have not panned out. We're
That
not
team
going.
has no direction right now.
No,
At
there's
all.
no direction.
at
I'm
all.
like, what is your identity? What is again? You're asking identity. You don't draft the right tackle that high because you're going to be paying him left tackle money. As simple as that. But you can move on to the next team. We got the Giants, man. Who they
The
take?
Giants, they took Malik Neighbors. I'm just gonna be quick. I give it an A. I give it an A for the player. Also for his mental, I don't know because who the hell's gonna be getting him the ball? Danny DeVito, Tommy DeVito. What's the dude's name? DeVito. Because Daniel Jones is gonna
Daniel Jones or DeVito, because
he's gonna get hurt. He's gonna get hurt, and he's recovering from injury now as is. I like the pick. They struck gold last time they hit it on the LSU wide receiver, but I think for the pressure of the New York media, I think Malik Neighbors is gonna wear his emotions on his sleeve, and he's gonna let it be known, like, get me the effing ball type deal. If it would have went receiver, I think Rome would have fit with his demeanor that media market.
For what
But
you
I
need.
like the pick for him.
What you got, Steve?
Yeah, they think they're getting Odell Beckham. Too many similarities. New York's obviously a difficult market to get at. It's funny how the day before he kind of trolled Daniel Jones in a
Yes.
way, which was some weird shit. But nonetheless, I woke up this morning reading some reports about Spencer Rattler possibly going to the Giants later on. I think Spencer's a fit in Vegas, man. He just
I
screams
think he's
Raider
the
to me,
next
man.
quarterback drafted. I think he's the next quarterback drafted. He's going to be picked 33, in my opinion.
There's too much potential for teams to walk away from. Obviously, it's become an offensive league. I mean, how many picks did we have before a defensive player was picked? We changed the damn hit drop tackle rule. You want more points. That brings in more marketing dollars, more points scored. They want this crap to look like Arena League, and that's cool, but they're going to have quarterbacks reach. And I'm telling you, like we discussed, 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Let's say 4 of them are trash. There might be one that's outside of that first round that we never expected or didn't think was going to be good, and it might be Spencer Rattler. If he goes to New York, based on his history from him being in the public spotlight since high school and the ups and downs, the Heisman favorite, he might be able to withstand the New York media, or he might be able to, and he's an Arizona kid. He probably would love to go to Vegas and throw the ball to Brock Bowers and Devontae. So in terms of this particular pick, I definitely agree Rome Odunze would have been the guy. Outside of Marvin Harrison, I think Rome Odunze is the best receiver in the draft. But the Giants, I mean, come on, they haven't necessarily been known for having great success either on that front. So
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I give the pick. I give it a B. If you look at the video when he showed up to the facility, his body language, and it was fake hugs and fake what's ups because he didn't look too happy showing up. I saw a little bit of the footage. Yeah, Malik didn't look too happy about it. But that's it. We can move
your
on.
top 10 pick going to New York. He's probably not happy about those taxes he's about to pay living there.
Yeah.
But outside of that,
Yeah.
Those taxes are all right if you're winning. Those taxes are all right if you can get endorsement money from somewhere else because you got a quarterback and get you the ball and you balling. It's a lot. That's a lot on that kid, man. I think he's. I don't want to say he's going to buckle under the New York pressure, but I definitely think that we're going to have some outbursts and some stuff where he's going to be able. This is a new generation of player now too. These are the ones who take everything to social media too.
Yeah.
So
Daniel must have like some sort of Epstein tapes on the Mara family or something, man. He's getting chance after chance. It's very suspicious, man.
Yeah, and he even got another contract. But you gonna lead this one? It's the who's next?
Joe Alt to the Chargers. Joe Alt to the Chargers can play right tackle. I give it an A based off of Harbaugh knowing what he wants to do. I mean, I feel like you could have traded back and still been able to take an offensive lineman. But
Mhm.
like I said, I give it an A for what Harbaugh wants to do.
Yeah. Um, I mean, this pretty much as I discussed with you, D, last night, and we discussed prior. This is pretty much chalk 1 through 5. You just had a
Hmm.
slight flip. I mean, Joe Alt was the projected pick there. That's who they took. I mean, he can protect your left side. He's versatile. I think he can move around too around the line. Solid guy. He'll slide in. I keep doing this to myself, but
No Diddy.
no Diddy.
No
I
Diddy.
keep doing this to
No
myself.
Diddy.
But Joe Alt's just perfect, man. I like it. It's an A pick. I like it, man. It's a good pick. Solid. What about you, Steve?
Hey, nothing else
Hey,
to say. Plug and play. Dad played in the league.
yep.
Great tape, great film, great measurables. Obviously, going to a coach that's going to value him. Obviously, you see Harbaugh's comments. He said, they look at offensive linemen as bigger weapons than even some offensive players. The
Mm-hmm.
offensive lineman is the spear to their attack. So they got the guy they want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, None less, man.
Okay. Marvin Harrison Jr., the Cardinals. I mean, we don't even have to beat a dead horse. Another chalk. We knew this was happening. All the draft, mock draft, whoever knew this was happening. Without a question, considered the best overall prospect in the draft. And as you said about Joe Alt, legacy's there. Dad's a Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it. So he's got all the teachings. Everything he needs is right there. Move on to the next. Anybody else want to add on? You got it. It's an A+ for me.
A plus. A plus.
Nope. A plus
A
plus.
plus for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Dr-
You got it,
Next
D.
pick is Drake May. Drake May. This is the only way. This is a conditional grade for me. If he
Hmm.
does not touch the field this year, it's an A pick based
Hmm.
off of what his potential can be. Him being able to come in and learn. They have Jacoby Brissett as a good bridge quarterback. This team is not good. This team is not going anywhere. They have money and picks. This is a future pick. This is a pick where we are like, hey, they identify who they want to lead them after the 2024 season. So
Hmm.
if he touches the field this year, it's a C because I just
Okay.
think he's too raw a prospect.
Mhm.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You paid Jacoby the $8 million and let him earn the $8 million and run for his life. I
Mhm.
mean, there's no weapons there. There's some receivers, obviously, some great receivers still left. So if New England has any bit of a brain, I have the optimism that they will, considering Bill Belichick's not in the fold anymore. I think with Bill
Mhm.
Mhm.
Belichick, there was a lot of arrogance that would come in where they would just trade back, trade back, trade back, and just find low value guys to fit their system. But I'm rooting for Gerard Mayo in a way. There's not a team that I hate more than the Patriots. There's not a sports market that I hate more than Boston for a variety of reasons.
Mhm.
Um, so good luck to you, Drake May. But I don't see him getting on the field this year, and when he does, the Dolphins smacking that ass. So that's all that matters to me.
No Diddy.
No did,
No
no
Diddy.
did.
No Diddy.
Oh man. Well, that leaves us with two picks. What you got, D? Well, who's that
Jaden
number one?
Daniels.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels. I love it. I love the pick. The DMV has two electric quarterbacks right now. The DMV has two electric quarterbacks with Jaden and Lamar.
Mhm.
Washington has weapons. This kid will be able to get him the ball. Austin Eckler can run the ball. Do need to protect him, but they have a couple picks today, so we'll see. We'll see how that works. Actually,
Okay.
they have a couple picks in a few minutes.
Okay. Well, quickly, I'll give it a B. It can go to an A if either you're getting Lamar Jackson or you're getting RG3 because I've
Right.
seen it. He has a propensity to be reckless at times when he runs. So that's my question mark. Other than the progressions and all of those natural things that a quarterback has to go through, he's the difference between getting a Lamar or a RG3 in a situation where he could start with a spark and then something tragic could happen because he doesn't protect himself. That's my biggest question. Will he learn how to protect himself in NFL? That's it. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm curious to see what their next pick is.
Mhm.
Their offensive line is arguably one of the worst in the league.
Mhm.
Um, they have to invest on that side of the ball moving forward.
Mhm.
Um, if not, this kid's gonna be running for his life like he was at LSU.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know what 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 their situation is gonna be. I see them as a team that's probably going to be picking in the top 10 again next year,
Mhm.
based on the way the Eagles are clicking. The Cowboys are going to be solid. At the end of the day, um, I think if they can pick in the top five again next year and go ahead and draft that left tackle that LSU has, the Will Campbell kid, I think they'll be in a good spot at that point. His LSU teammate. So they're going to need a bookend tackle at one point, build it from the line. You got Terry McLaurin, got some pieces on defense, but they need a lot of work, man.
Mhm.
But I'm happy
Yes, they
for him.
do.
I'm always going to root for the black quarterback. And this kid, he's a little long in the tooth too. He's not the youngest quarterback either,
Yep.
but he's just so electric that it doesn't really matter. So that's the difference between him and check down Charlie, like Bo Nix. It's just
Yeah.
it's
Right.
different, you know. So yeah,
Right. Well, y'all know who the first pick was, Caleb Williams.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'm not going to be too long with it. I
Mhm.
give it an A. He's still going to need some protection. I don't see how they're going to get that in the draft because they only got 2 picks.
hmm
But for what they've done throughout free agency and everything, they've set this kid up so far to be able to produce on script, and he'll have some playmakers for him for the off script stuff that he does too.
I give it an A also. The only question I would have is just his mental up top. Uh, will
Yep.
he be able to handle? Because just like you said, the New York market, Chicago's not a friendly place either. Um, it's not.
Nope.
Not for a quarterback. He's an eclectic guy.
Yep.
He's been out there on the West Coast for a while. So you coming in Chicago, it's a different mentality there. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Will he be able to adapt to the city, accept the city? They accept him. He moved like the city moved, so he may have to change a little bit of his ways. As far as off the field, his personality is he's it's, a lot of people question him a little bit. Um, I don't like the comparisons to Patrick, but I think in the right system, if this is the right system, he can make the throws. He can make all the NFL throws in the pocket and out of the pocket. Um, I mean, they giving him more than they gave Fields, so I look at it as a plus. So yeah, I do give it an A. That's it.
Yeah, I give it an A as well. I think there is not a city that needs a prospect like this more than Chicago. They've been in mediocrity for a long time. I don't think there's a team that's had worse quarterback luck outside of maybe the Cleveland Browns than the
Hmm.
Chicago Bears.
Hmm.
So this kid is needed in the city. People need him to succeed. They've
Hmm.
invested around him. Um, for me, I would have loved it if the Commanders could have put a package together and moved up from 2 to 1 to go get him and bring the hometown kid back. But I understand that we don't live in fantasy land, or
Yeah.
this isn't Madden 2024. Or who knows? Maybe they did make an offer and that shit just didn't go through.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the way that I look at it. So, great pick, and
Mhm.
sky's the limit for them.
Okay.
Especially if they build that new indoor stadium, because nobody likes throwing in that under those conditions.
Yeah, yeah. You got to be a different kind of quarterback to play outside there. Yeah, I
Right.
agree. Yeah. Well, that concludes this recap of the first round. We're getting ready to kick off the second round in a couple of minutes, right? It starts at 7.
Yep.
Sure.
So with transition, Steve, we really thank you for tapping in with us, man. You always
Appreciate
make
it,
yourself
bro.
available, man. We meet in person. I was looking for you at the tailgate, but I understand you are a traveling man. We could have had a drink together, chilled out,
Man,
really,
I was
really, really
sick that I
tapped
couldn't
in.
make it in person, man. Trust me, man. I took the bag, bro. I took the bag and went to Arizona, but
I got
I was on the timeline watching all y'all schmingle and rub
it.
elbows and kiss babies with each other, man.
But yeah, man, really do appreciate you, your your availability, And if I ask you, you ain't got no problem. You don't have no problem for us when we reach out to you. Thank you on the ground. You're a hardworking man, real traveled man, and we really thank you. We hope everything you continue to have fun and be safe, and with your family and everything, man. Just continue to be blessed, man. Thank you.
Likewise, gentlemen. We'll
Appreciate
see you
it, bro.
soon. All right, bro.
All right, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, bro, that went well. We about to tap in. We about what not 8 minutes from the start of the second round, third round. We like to thank everyone. Our guest Steve tapped in with us. Thank all you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Please, it's free. Everything is free. The thumb is free. The comments are free. You could give us a little
Everything.
critique. It's free. It don't cost you anything. Just a little bit of your just a little motion of your finger on the button to say thank you, and we really appreciate it. Make sure you tap into
Definitely.
D's Corner. He got some new episodes out. Look him up. You tap in some more, going even more in depth with what we saw last night, and looking forward to what we see tonight. D, you got anything you want to add before we close out, man?
Nothing, man. You guys like, share, and subscribe here and in D's Corner and No Nonsense when we get it going.
All right. We really appreciate everybody. Thank you guys, and peace out.